Hiya, so it's the 3rd of November 2025 and I've come down to the plot to show you what we did yesterday. We direct sowed field beans into the ground, so you can see in the background there are two beds with covers on, and this is where we sowed them. So the reason we've picked field beans rather than broad beans is that they're a lot hardier, so they're actually more able to survive the winter cold and the wind better than broad beans. So to prepare this bed we used homemade compost, which is 50% wood chip, 50% food waste that's been composting for about a year. We've covered it on the bed about 5 to 10 centimetres deep, and because we're doing no dig, we don't need to dig it in, the worms will take it in over the winter. So these were planted yesterday, 2nd of November, and we used a dibber to make lots of holes. So we made them 20 centimetres apart. We made all of the holes and then we went through and put the seeds in each of the holes and covered them up. So we've got 4 rows in each bed, and each of those rows are 20 centimetres apart, and then the seeds themselves within a row are 20 centimetres apart. There is a risk with early sowing such as this that you might end up with rats and mice coming and digging out the seed, and this net won't protect against that. So the net is purely to stop pigeons and other birds sort of rooting around in the soil and digging them out. So in terms of the disadvantage potentially of sowing field beans as opposed to broad beans, field beans have smaller pods, so you basically have to spend longer podding the beans because you have more pods to shell. However, you do end up with more pods, so more pods per plant, so you end up with a higher yield. So although you're going to be spending longer doing the podding, you do end up with a higher yield, so we think that that's definitely more beneficial for us. So in terms of yield from this bed, we've got 140 seeds planted in each bed. So let's just say as a worst case scenario, only 100 germinate, and each one of those plants produce 100 grams of bean seeds. What we're hoping is that we're going to end up with about 10 kilos of beans per bed. And then full disclaimer, we've never sown field beans before, we've only ever sown broad beans, and we've only ever sown broad beans end of February, March into pots, made them into little plants in the greenhouse and then sown them in the ground mid-March. So this is a full experiment for us, a new experiment, and we're really hoping it pays off with an earlier yield.